Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. So in the first part we installed the facelift dial, so that includes the new LCD screen, but obviously because we've installed it in a pre-facelift car, we don't have the controls on the steering wheel like you would expect to have in a facelift car. So we've had to go for a slightly different solution, and that's using Gerald's projects, and I'll link them down below. They actually do a retrofit controller for it. So this second part of the video is going to describe exactly how you fit that, install that, and get it working so you can actually control this. So at the moment everything works. You can see it lights up, the rev counter works, speedo works, etc. The only issue I've got at the moment is the fact I've got a TPMS light, and that's due to the fact that the pre-facelift car doesn't have it. Apparently you can have that programmed out. What I'm going to actually do is, while I've got the dials out of the car, I'm actually just going to put some tape over that particular light, or remove the LED or something like that, just because in the UK your car won't pass an MOT to make it road legal if it has any sort of warning lights like that you can't remove. So what do you get in the Gerald's Project box? So let's take a look. So here's the kit. So first of all, and we actually get 3, which is quite interesting. These are little covers, and I'll show you, they actually replace, so on here it actually replaces that center cover that goes in there, and actually gives you the joystick and the controller button. So all you do is replace that. Now I've actually got some black buttons that are JDM spec that I'm going to actually swap out as part of this installation, so I removed the nasty silver and actually go for the nice black ones. So we've got that controller. What else have we got? So we've got what looks like the extension lead there. So that's the extension lead for the controller. So you basically run this sort of down to the, well, from the back of the gauges down through here, underneath and here, so that you can extend to your controller. So what's the controller look like? So here it is. You've got really simple joysticks. You've got up, down, left and right, and a selector button there. So you've got the controls you need to control that dash piece. You can see that just connects to the end of that extension lead I was just showing you. And then the very final piece is here, and these are the 3 connectors that you're going to need to connect in the back of the dials to get this to work. So this is basically the input for the controls, because the pre-facelift car obviously doesn't have the inputs for the controls on the loom. But all you need to do is insert these pins in, and I'll show you how to do that in the video as well, and we'll be able to get that all working. So let's go straight away. The first thing we're going to want to do is actually remove this piece of trim up here and get to the back of the dial so we can get to the connector block behind that. Okay, so we're going to actually use the head cam today, so let's give it a try. So what we need to do is remove this screw here. So all we're doing is getting this piece of trim off the top. Okay, so you should be able to see what I'm seeing now. So I'm going to pop this off. So if I run this top up, sorry, so show that again on the head cam. So you can see here, I've just got the tool underneath the front, lifted it up, and off that comes. So you can see now we're exposing the top of here, and to get this to move we just need to drop these 2 screws out. So let's take them out next, and just be really careful that you don't drop any of those into the dash. So that's one out, and hopefully this perspective cam just gives you a bit of a better view than me trying to use both hands at the same time. Right, so we've got that out. Let's just pop this away, because what are we trying to get to? Trying to get to this big block on the back. So the Gerald's Projects video just tells you which pins, so I'll work that out now, and then I'll show you exactly which of the number pins we need to be inserting those 3 off the extension lead. Okay, so try and get as close as I can. It's a little bit tricky, but if you see this connector, I've disconnected it from the back of the dials. If you look to the side, you can see there's a small sort of clip here, and if you push in, this bottom bar drops just a millimetre, and if you flip it to the other side and push in again, it again drops down. It's not a massive movement, just a tiny little bit of movement, and I think that's like the locks for the pins to lock them in place. Okay, so when we're looking at this, it's the bottom row. I've just popped that in, so let's just get my screwdriver back in. Alright, so this bottom row here of pins is pins 21 through to 40. So they're where the pins are going to be inserted, basically. So on the Gerald Project kit, it says that these should be labelled up. Well, they're not on mine, so I've got black, red and white. So what I've done is watched his installation videos and just done a bit of mapping myself. So if you can make that out, so what I've got is the black is pin 29 brown, red is pin 23, and the white is pin 26. So I'm going to give that a go, see if that works, if I've managed to work it out from his videos, just because I was expecting these to be labelled because that's what the instructions say, but it's not quite the case when it's turned up. Okay, so if we're looking at the bottom row, on mine I've worked out that the red is pin 23. So if we look underneath here, we should have the grey wire is 21, the red and white is 22, and the third along is 23. Now there's a little, and it's probably, let's see how close I can get on the camera. There's a little notch or a little tab that sticks up. That should be pointing upwards when I'm looking at this. And what you do is you insert that pin and you push it in. It will only go in one way, and there should be a positive click. There you go, when you've inserted that pin. So that's the first pin, so that's the red pin into 23. So if I look at my box, the white pin, so that's this one, goes in 26. So you've got 23, 24, 25, 26. So that's another blank or empty slot. So we make sure the tab is up to the right, and they can only fit in one way. Again, push that in, and we should get a positive click. So it's a little bit tricky, so maybe try just pushing it in. Yeah, it's really tricky. And you're supposed to hear a positive click once it's in the right place. There you go. So pushed it in, just use that little screwdriver, just put it straight in. So that's the first pin, another pin, and then we've got this black cable left. And black I mapped to 29 brown, so we've got 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and it's the next blank along, so next to this blue one. So again, tab facing upwards. Let's try that again. So tab facing upwards. God, this is very tricky to pick up on camera. So tab facing upwards and push it in. If your tab's not facing upwards, it won't go in. There you go, and there's a nice positive click on that one, and you actually feel the little click. So there we go. Push those all the way in. Make sure they're all the way in. That feels much better than it did. So I was seeing a bit of metal, so now I've just pushed all of those 3 cables in. We should then be able to clip this back in place. Okay, so what we're going to do is just put a bit of force on that bar, just to get it to clip back into place. And then what we're going to do is do a bit of a test. So just reconnect it onto the back of here. Okay, that's in. Right, so that's your dials back in, so if you can see that. Oh, so don't lose that screwdriver into the dashboard. Right, so if I take the camera off, show you this view now. We start the engine. Right, it's a good start, we haven't damaged anything, so it's all working. That's a really good start. So let's turn the wipers off. Right, so we've got the connector here ready to go, and if we plug, let's leave the extension lead out of the equation for now, and we want the actual controller. So let's put this into here, and it can only fit in one way. And if this worked, if I show you, we've got the controller here, and what we're able to do, so I might have the controller upside down, put it that way around. So yeah, look, you can see we've now got control of all the information. We can press down and it will cycle through the different screens. Brilliant. So you can see there, we've now got full control. You can see the different settings, language, units, etc. So we now have full control. So all we need to do is put the extension lead in between these, and then test that functionality as well, make sure that's all working. Okay, so I apologise for the sound. I know the audio is a bit dodgy because I'm using the head cam, but hopefully the visuals improve a little bit. So let's close the windows just in case we've got any background noise coming in. So we've got this working now. We've proved that we've wired it up correctly. So what we need to do now is disconnect this and make sure you've got your extension cable, and reconnect that. Now it can only go in one way, and let's just, again, best practice so you're not running all the cables again, is just plug this in. So if you look there, just reconnecting the controller. Let's start up the car and just make sure, so if you can see the screen on the camera, so we can see that's still functioning correctly. So yeah, the extension lead works. It's always worth checking that all your components work before you start ripping the interior out. So what we're going to do now is actually try and feed it down the back of here and down so it comes out. Now my car's in pieces at the moment because I'm doing a lot of work. But there's other videos I've done about taking the dash apart, and it's pretty easy and self-explanatory, but you could actually just come under this panel and come through without taking much of the interior out. So I'm going to try that route now and try and show you as best as I can what I'm doing. Okay, so I think what the best route for this is to actually just lift your dials out, take it down through the back of here, come through, and you'll come out just down here and you'll be able to tuck it all the way under here. These buttons here, easy come out, just lifting off this center ring. There's plenty of videos on how to remove that, and you'll be able to get to under here. So you literally just tuck it up under there. So I'm just going to quickly do that off camera because it's going to be tricky to capture, and then we'll talk you through connecting it to these buttons and testing it all. Okay, so let's just give you a bit of an update. So I've brought the wire down here. Because I've lifted this off, I'm going to run the wire through the back of this plastic. If you look under here, you can actually pull this bit of plastic away. So I'm going to tuck this cable down so it doesn't come across the front of here, but actually comes down the back of here, and then you'll be able to run it just like I am all the way down here. So So I'll show you that once it's installed. Okay, so I think I've got my final routing. So it comes down the back of here, down, across right behind this piece of plastic, down here and through into here, down under the dash. It might be a bit dark to see, but as the cable then runs along here, comes under this piece of trim, comes through here down the side of your gaiter, and actually through and under to where your buttons will connect. So we've now got the extension lead all the way through, so that's perfect. And all we'll do is actually just reconnect to make sure you don't lose it like I have. So we'll actually be able to just connect to the controller to that. So the next bit is the install of the controller into the buttons here, so I'm going to walk you through that next. Okay everyone, so we've worked out how to get the controller into this blank. So first of all, you've got to remove this ring. So there's plenty of videos online how to get this off the car, so I'm not going to cover that off. If you flip this over, there's 2 screws on the back of here, one here and one here. To remove that from there, it just makes it easier to work with, so let's dispose of that. And then we've got this part here. So if we look on the back, we've got a clip here and a clip here, and all you have to do is wedge a screwdriver in and pull up, wedge the screwdriver in, and this is a bit easy because it's been out a couple of times on my one. And then what you should be able to do is just lift that out. Now that only fits back in one way, so you've got to not worry too much about that. It's this second bit of rubber here that you have to be careful with. So let's drop that out, and you can see these little dimples here go to the little crosses that are in here, so it goes in that way. So you've got to remember that. Now we've got the blanking plate here that we want to remove, so all we do is in here, you'll see it's just held in by 2 tabs, and that's your blanking plate off. So all you're looking to do is take this, and it fits one way nice and neatly like that. Now it is loose and it doesn't technically clip in place, and you can put a bit of hot glue if you wanted to, but actually once all this is assembled, it actually holds itself in place anyway. Now to help the process of installation, you'll see here yours will be smooth. Let me put my finger behind it so you can see a bit clearer. Yours will be flat black plastic. What I've done is just took a Dremel tool, you could use a sharp knife or something, and just took a chunk out the back here, and I'll show why during the installation. So let's put our button on first, so we know our button's in place. So let's get our button in place first, so that's nice, everything lines up front and back. Now like I say, I'm switching to the black buttons, but I'm going to show you this on my old controller because I wanted to test it out first before I pull apart a new controller. So what you want to do is take your joystick, and actually it'll only fit one way into the holder, then feed the cable through, you can see, pull that all the way through, making sure that stays in place on the back, making sure you've got this the right way around. So let's try and flip that round. It's a case of just lining it up so the shapes are right for when it goes back in. So you've got your cancel button, or your back button should I say, and then you've got your joystick, which is also the sort of select button. Now flip it over, and that groove you can see that we cut out, what I've done it so that the wires can go past this little notch here and through and out, so they're out of your way, because when you place this back in, make sure you get it the right way around, it doesn't interfere with this rubber then, because we've cut this little notch out for the wires to come out of there. And then again, this only fits in one way, because these little end ones, that's too wide, so we flip it round. Now this is thinner, this end, and it should just all press back together nicely. So you can see that's still loose, but that's absolutely fine, because when we put it back into the piece of trim, that'll hold itself in place. You can see that's all back together. So if we get the piece of dash trim, put that over that, you can see now it actually pinches in. So what you can do is actually, let's get the screws. Please excuse the mess in the interior of the car. I think one of my next videos is actually going to be me detailing the interior of this car, because it's obviously being in the original accident before I brought the car, obviously having all the parts thrown in, it's just been sort of moved around yard to yard before I eventually brought it. So it's had bits all over the place, muddy bits. It's then been to the body shop where the car's been sanded, so everything's dusty. So yeah, it needs a good clean. But you can see now you've got that installed. Your button should work. So what you want to do as a test is actually reconnect the block on the back, connect it to your extension lead. So now we've got everything back in place. You want to start the engine, okay, and just press your VC, your traction control button, and make sure when you look at your dash that it actually does something, so you can see the lights going on and off. And let's just check. There you go, as control. So if you look in there now, I'm able to control, press the back button. I think if to demonstrate the back button, we need to select one and press back. There you go. So we can see that's all working. And you want to do those checks every time you install something, just so that you don't get it all back together, put your dash all back together, and actually your controls aren't working. So that's how to install the button. So you can see we can change the welcome screen so it's on and off. So I think that's if you don't want the BRZ graphics to come up. Rev, so you can set like a buzzer for the revs. You got language selection, units, so you can go kilometers an hour, miles an hour, etc., depending on what country you're in. Initialization, not sure what that is, but I'm not going to press that one for now. We've got any warning messages from the car. We've got our G meter. You can see our RPM, our lap times, etc. And then if we go all the way to the left, we've got our information screen. So we've got water temp, oil temp, battery. We've got our trip computer, so it says how many miles left in the tank, what MPG we're getting out of it. And finally our average speed, our total journey time, and total miles on the trip computer. So no, that's really handy, and you see you can have that full screen as well. So that's perfect, everything's working exactly as expected. So no, really impressed with that. So you can see we've got full control. So all you need to do then is put your ring and your dash back in place, make sure all your wires are tucked away, and obviously we need to put the cover on here. So all we do to get the cover back in place is just reverse the process of taking it off. So clip it in, screw in place, and done. So hopefully you found that video useful. There's plenty more BRZ content as well, same processes for the GT86 and the FRS. So please hit that like button and subscribe, that really helps the channel, and you'll get alerts then when you get when we upload new videos to the channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Threaded bits, and there's actually little holes on the bottom.